demonic angel, I got a question from a subscriber asking me about, I get this actually a lot, but more like, hey, can you do a love spell for me? Or, you know, on all these other kinds of low magic things. And I just thought I'd talk about that a little bit today. When I was like younger, in my early 20s, and I was learning about how to like maybe try to like understand my abilities and put it into this ritualized way, I did try to do love spells, for myself, right? Like, this guy is, I want this guy, I want this, And of course, I, like everybody else, having unrealistic expectations, did not get what I thought was going to happen, because that's all very much just an astral idea that's not very real. And it's also not, no, I don't do spells actually on people, really in general. The type of spells that I do them on myself, and I'll show you guys, we'll do some stuff on that, but it's this little rock that I swing back and forth, and I light some candles, and I'll do some incense, and I hypnotize myself in a mirror into usually things such as, an example would be having a little bit more emotional self-control. This person in my life is really having an emotionally hard time, and I care about them very much. So when that kind of stuff happens, it's easy for me to get defensive, or it's easy for anybody. But I'm hypnotizing myself into saying that I'm going to respond with just saying, listen, I'm here for you, and I'm not going anywhere. So you can just say what you need to say and express that, and I'm just going to be here because it's just easy to get into that kind of argument like that. And I've actually was doing hypnosis to quit smoking tobacco. I smoked cigarettes for like 7 years, and I don't smoke anymore. And I probably did that for like a week straight, and I think that it helped me. So I do that very often, or when I'm doing a ritual, because I've done it for like 10 years, it's very easy to connect. Like, I'll have this idea of what I want to improve on myself, but I don't really do that on other people. I think that it's kind of, I can, and I can work with people. It's kind of like with the tarot, but people have to be open, and a lot of people have energy blocks somewhere in their chakra, and until that blockage is fixed, whatever magic you want to cast on them is not going to work anyway. Also, if you want somebody to love you, think about that proverb, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Maybe that person is not supposed to be with you. Maybe if they were with you and obsessed with you, you would want to be able to have your personal space. Would you really want somebody to be obsessed with you? I don't think so. I don't think that that's a healthy thing. And when people do magic and they're not, and it's got this sort of, ungrounded expectations, things can go very wrong, just like with self-hypnosis, okay? This is a door into the higher, your lower mind. You're talking to yourself with your higher mind, and you hypnotize yourself to believe something that's negative. That's very bad. But it's very easy to do, the way we do these things. So, it's my little prequel, I guess. But here's my little story about the one time I just use magic on these people. and this is it. I was probably like 25, and my car broke down, and I scheduled a tow truck to come and pick me up at where I lived, so that they could like tow my car away and we could get it like repaired, obviously. So that's all fine and great, and the guy shows up, and I had this weird disconnected feeling, like from the time I woke up. Like I felt like I was living in a dream. I mean, you can feel that way from lack of sleep, illness, drugs, but then there's when I have psychic visions, it's like that. So it was this ungrounded feeling of like waking dream. So with that in mind, I paid attention to it, but not too much. And I went out to go meet the guy, and we're gonna take my car. And I was just, this was like right after I really consciously realized about my identity in my last life, like accepting that. And I was like, you know what? I know this guy, but from my last life. And because he was just, I mean, he was very nice, very normal, but he was like, I don't know, freaked out in a way for no real reason. But and that's not really that weird. Sometimes people from other lives meet all the time, and it's just that familiar feeling. But we go, and then the guy at the repair shop who owns it, when I saw him, I knew him too, and I was like, what? And everybody, like, these two guys were both like, they had that sense of being out of place in time like I did. And because I was kind of aware of that, the one guy who was at the counter was a Mexican gentleman, and I remembered him being the postmaster. I don't know why I want to call him that. That's what I thought of him as. The postmaster from my last life, like seeing him and going to get my mail. I was like, I basically just stared at him without blinking, really intensely, and I just wanted to see if I could bring that realization to him, to his mind, that we know each other. And I looked at him, and he was, as I was walking away to go make a phone call outside while he wrote things up, he was like, he runs out the door, and he just comes up to me and he looks at me like really intensely, and he just like doesn't say anything. And then after a while, he was like, you know what? I'm not going to charge you for this. I just feel like I need to do something good for you. I don't know why, and I laughed. I mean, this guy looked shocked. It was like priceless. And I know what that was. I brought him into that conscious awareness with me because he was already obviously in a subconscious level aware of it. The other guy who was, towing my car back, I knew that he and I knew each other from some dark things in our last life. Not too dark or personal, just business. And I knew that he was suffering from, I mean, he didn't say any of this to me, that he was suffering from thinking about, I guess we'll say, sex in an unhealthy way in his life, and his own self-image, more tied to just that chakra. So I looked at him. I did the same thing where I just looked at him, and I didn't blink, and he just ended up talking to me when we parked, and he talked to me about finding a Native American shoe somewhere off in the desert when he went camping, and his beliefs, and And I listened, and, you know, I shot the shit with him, and he even said, I don't know why, like, I don't just tell people about the stuff I believe in, but it was really weird. He even said, I feel really weird today. That was great, and I think that in some way, him talking to me, I did something for him. And obviously for me, kind of maybe realizing that we're both not in this constant danger, you know, like we were 100 years ago, and it's a little bit different. The danger is now in our minds, largely. So I hope that I help those people. Now, my last story that is pretty cool, and then like I say, I don't really do spells on people, but I went to this antique store to get that World War II Ouija Queen authentic board. Now, when I walked in, there wasn't a price tag on this one item, the Ouija Queen. Now that makes it awkward because, you know, this isn't an occult store. So I'm like, I've got to bring this woman into this, and who's one of the owners. And I need to know how much this is. So I tell her, like, you know, that I'm interested in it. And as we're walking, she's walking in front of me. And I saw her in my mind as being in this dress, like a Victorian dress. And I knew that, well, that we had known each other in our last lives as well. So when she turned around to look at me and she opened the case, I looked at her without blinking, my little technique thing that I was doing. And then she was like, you just need to have this. And then the person I was with purchasing the board, because it was a birthday present / Halloween, because, you know, Halloween is very close to my birthday. Here's your, you know, and he's like, hey, is this a real thing? Like, is this actually real? Like, why would you give, you know, this to us? But she was like, you need, like, for whatever reason, I feel like you need to have it. And there was plenty of other Ouija boards from the 70s, and, you know, they had planchettes and they were in the box and everything, but I knew that woman in some way like that, where I'm not really sure about her. Like, I think she was just in the town, and she was, I mean, if I venture to guess, the proprietor of a bordello that I had been involved with, or just in some way involved in the business of the town. And so I knew that. And I don't really do that very often, but if I can kind of tell that a person is in an altered state of consciousness, and I'm like, I'm having that experience, and I just let myself believe that, then I could pull the people into that a little bit, and we can have that experience together. And I've really thought those 3 stories were pretty cool. They meant a lot to me. It was just really something.